Risers and fallers. Starting with the risers. Isiah Likely had a 99-yard touchdown for Coastal Carolina, had one of the highest receiving yards totals for a tight end in a long time. He was fantastic in this game, continues to be impressive, and will join the show tomorrow, by the way, Mike Renner. He is on one of your risers list here.
He's not a tear. He's gone from 3 successive weeks, set his mark for most receiving yards in a game this season. Goes 76 yards against UMass a couple weeks ago, 95 last week against Louisiana Monroe. We highlighted him. And then 232 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now, some of that's Coastal Carolina and all the crazy shit they do in their backfield with the two-back option looks, and then just leak Isiah Likely out a lot. That was the 99-yard touchdown. That was another touchdown he had up the sideline on a wheel. But Isiah Likely is still a force to be reckoned with after the catch. Has the speed you want from a guy if you are going to play an undersized tight end. Reminds me a lot of kind of like a Robert Tonyan in his sort of receiving chops that I think could still play in the NFL. Now, he is still small. That is the thing. But this guy I think he'll go to the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl and turn some heads.
He's also got a very interesting frame. I think a lot of the weight is in his lower half, whereas his upper body is kind of thin. I think I'll be interested to see how he stacks up at the combine in the future. Drake London, another riser for you, also a friend of this podcast, USC wideout who has been phenomenal. I would argue, as a Fred Biletnikoff Award voter, a favorite for the award right now. I know you are as well. 832 yards in 6 games. He has been specifically fantastic after the catch for a guy his size, and also in contested catch situations has been dominating for USC. Very reminiscent of Michael Pittman, who also had himself a game for Indy last night.
And I think skill set wise, that's not terrible. I've made the Brandon Marshall comp with Drake London, and this was a kind of Brandon Marshall-esque game. Remember that one against, who was it against back in like 09 when he had 08 when he had Jay Cutler throw
like
to
24
him,
times,
and he threw it. He set the record. He set the record for receptions in a game. That it was just slant, hitch, whatever, anything underneath, he would just get open immediately, and then is so, at 6'5", 210, Drake London has the ability to box guys out and win at the catch point every single time. And that is a skill that when you're 6'2", 210, that's a skill that you're like, when the guy gets to the NFL, it might not look as good. When you're 6'5", 210 and have his sort of wingspan and have his basketball background and have done it as much as he has, 16 catches on 20 targets in this game for 162 yards. You start to feel good about it. You start to feel like that guy can actually do this at the next level. And he doesn't have good deep speed. He's probably going to run the 4.6s, but he is your, almost glorified tight end at the next level in that he's going to get open underneath ad nauseum. He's going to be your third down guy when they're in man coverage. 3rd and 6, this is where you're going. And you can rely on him to get open in that regard because everyone knows the route tree he's running here. Utah, 20 targets. Everyone knows he's the only guy that they feature, and he's still produced.
I think using him, you've called him like a big slot, but using him, like a bigger tight end, like that, like the Raiders have done with Darren Waller could be pretty beneficial for him in the NFL. The other thing I'll add too, Brandon Marshall did that against the Colts in December of 2009, I think is what you said. But that was not the Jets, the Colts for Brandon Marshall. I like that comp. Next on your list is Matt Corral of Ole Miss, the guy that I had people telling me, he's fallen out of the first round after losing to Bama. What? You said it after that game that he did not tank his draft stock in that game. Did not, I think he did not make mistakes on mistakes. Obviously, I did not lose that game for Ole Miss. He's a riser on your list this week.
Yeah, so he did make his first turnover-worthy plays of the season.
Oh, no.
Got to put that out there. 2 turnover-worthy plays. He threw a couple deep balls but if you think back to last year, 2020, it was the Arkansas defense that was one of those games where like, holy shit, this is why I'm a little low on Corral. He had 7 turnover-worthy plays last year. No big-time throws. He had a 30.8 passing grade against Arkansas last year because they just stifled him. He kept trying to go downfield and was missing safeties left and right. In this game, not the case. 92.2 overall grade. Obviously, the touchdown at the end was a little bit of a layup on the stutter go for the game-winning score. That one wasn't as great, but he had a 62 air yard throw in this game from throw to catch point. The dude has a hose, and I love his sort of scrambling and rushing ability as a bonus. He is a legit threat. If he runs, I bet he runs somewhere in the 4.6s if he does run. He is a guy that you can absolutely feature to a degree in your rushing offense, can be an actual weapon in that regard to where, like I said, this guy has the most real defenses on his schedule. And a game like this against Arkansas, who qualifies as a real defense, has NFL talent on it, to tear them up the way he did is about as good a performance as we've seen this quarterback class this year. About as good a draftable projection performance as we've seen. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if Matt Corral ends up your first quarterback off the board with a strong finisher.
Wow. High praise. I was telling the guys upstairs talking about the next Raiders head coach. I'm ready to see some Lane Kiffin back to the Raiders organization. And why not trade Derek Carr? Maybe get after Matt Corral too to help lure Lane. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting on a tinfoil hat, but I'm liking what I'm hearing there. I think Matt Corral has been obviously fantastic this season. I think you highlighted him as one of those guys that could take a Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow-like leap this year. I think you lumped him in with Carson Strong, the Nevada quarterback, two guys that with good seasons maybe aren't on high on people's radars now, could vault up the boards, and you're saying that again. Kenneth Walker, next on your list, the Michigan State running back. Also a fantastic interview. Trevor Sikkema, an analyst here at PFF, did a sit-down interview with Kenneth Walker, a guy that wants to break every single tackle in his way, and he's done so almost.
Yeah, this guy may end up as a running back one. It's close. At this point, him and Breece Hall, those are your top two running backs in the country right now in the draft class. The way he has played this season, he has 60 broken tackles on 129 carries. I think he might have a little more juice than Breece Hall. He's getting workload for days. I mean, 20 plus, over 20 carries in 4 of his 6 games so far, 29 in this one against Rutgers with 13 broken tackles. Hits seemingly a home run once a week. And it's because he has a lot of ways he can beat you. Like he shakes guys legitimately in the hole at 5'10", 210. Legit NFL size, and will make you miss, but then also lower shoulder and just go through guys. So he has that total package that you like to see, and a very similar sort of physical profile to like a Javonte Williams coming out last year, where like actual, maybe not 4.4 speed, but standstill explosiveness is exactly what you want at the position. So that man has made himself a good deal of dough this season.
Kenneth Walker currently leads the FBS in forced missed tackles per carry. That was the stat that Javonte Williams led the FBS in. And guess who leads that stat in the NFL this year? Javonte Williams. One of those things that does correlate pretty positively to success in the NFL is that breaking tackle ability. Walker showing that for Michigan State. Kenyon Green and Evan Neal also making your biggest risers list. Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman for Texas A&M, and Evan Neal, the monstrous athletic offensive tackle for Alabama, both of which did not allow a pressure this week.
Yeah, Neal was very impressive. That was probably the best tape we've seen from Neal all year. That was legitimate, rare, people moving ability, and the likes of which you just can't replicate unless you are, a Bruce Feldman's number one freaks list. You got to be a different type of animal at that position, athletically and physically, to do what he did in that game. And so, yeah, I think we called him ready first round lock. That has been in the past, but now we're moving into this guy's OT1 sort of lock. That's how good his tape has been of late. So him, and then Kenyon Green, the dude keeps getting moved all over. First 2 games at right tackle, next 2 games at right guard, next game after that left guard, and now left tackle in this game for the first time in his collegiate football career. And he balls out, not a single pressure against Alabama. Holy shit! Like this guy, I think he's a tackle at the next level. But obviously, Texas A&M can't make up their mind of where to exactly play. Like, I guess he's too good. Like, he's good enough that he can fill in wherever. But I think he's a left tackle in the NFL. I think you see it when he plays tackle. Those are his 3 highest graded games this year are when he plays out at tackle. So that's where I would put him. And going up against Alabama, not allowing a single pressure is never easy. But he did it.
Yeah, I think how many positions he's played this season is pretty wild. And you saw, I think in the game before this one, where he took some snaps at left tackle like mid-game, did get beat a little bit, but in this one, obviously super impressive against the Alabama defense.